to our first topic, and we are asking, do you want Trump back as president? Get your calls in for this one now. Donald Trump has been given a major boost to his presidential campaign. Last night, America's highest court banned individual states from excluding him from the running. Now, this comes after Colorado had barred Mr. Trump from its Republican primary, arguing that he incited the 2021 Capitol riot. Now, Trump, as you can imagine, was pretty pleased with the ruling. Let's take a look at his reaction.
I want to start by thanking the Supreme Court for its unanimous decision today. It was a very important decision. We're very well crafted, and I think it will go a long way toward bringing our country together, which our country needs. And they worked long, they worked hard, and frankly, they worked very quickly on something that will be spoken about 100 years from now and 200 years from now. Extremely important. Essentially, you cannot take somebody out of a race because an opponent would like to have it that way.
Well, last night's decision came ahead of what's known as Super Tuesday. That's today, the biggest date so far in the race for the White House, when most states vote on the presidential primary. It's likely to secure Trump his Republican nomination. So we're asking, would you like to see the former president back in the White House? Lynn, I'm going to start with you. Would you like to see Trump back?
I would like to see him back, and I know you shouldn't really comment on someone's appearance, but I just wish he would get some concealer on his eyes to match the rest of his tan skin. But that aside, I would love to see Trump back in office in America. I know he has a bad rep. Oftentimes, the headlines always say negative things about him. However, if we look to see under his tenure, there were so many positive things that he did. You know, he brought industry back into America. We saw middle-class families increase in their salaries of $6,000 per year. You know, taxes. There were so many things that he did which essentially made America great again for the American populace. And the thing is, people always say he's racist, he's this, he's that. Why did we praise people like Obama when he dropped the most bombs in modern history? But when you look at Trump, he's the first president in modern history to never start a war. So yes, I wouldn't say he's perfect. Yes, he said some massively inappropriate things. However, when you look at the real things that matter, like money in people's pockets, the prevention of war, Trump is your man.
It's the kind of mad dog theory, isn't it? That if you have a dangerous dog next door, you better get a dangerous dog yourself just to stop that from happening. He's the only one that potentially could keep Putin in his place. What do you think, Andy?
Well, international relations during the Trump tenure, which was only for, around 5 years, by the way, so he didn't have a very long time. I think if he'd have won a second term, I think he would have started a war. International relationships under Trump had never been so dreadful. You know, the goading of Iran, the cozying up to Putin, the cozying up to North Korea, for goodness sakes. The man is a dishonest, divisive demagogue, and in his own country he fanned the flames of racial division. He demonised Muslims coming into the country. I think I'm very frightened about Donald Trump being president again. I don't want the most powerful country in the world to be led via a series of deranged tweets.
I don't know if I agree with the Iran comment. America was pushing under Obama to actually attack Iran, and Trump actually said, we're not going to attack Iran. What we're going to do is we're going to do a precise target of some of their military leaders, which he did. He targeted a military leader. He prevented thousands of civilians from dying. Unlike under Bush and, sad to say, Tony Blair here, unlike under Obama, who was dropping, 3 bombs on average every single hour. So if we're going to have this criticism for Trump, why do we not have this same criticism for Obama and for Biden, who we've seen nothing but potential war?
I hear what you're saying, but isn't it partly, don't you think, to do with the rhetoric and the style of politics that we're talking about here? Do you have some people who come across, Biden and Trump, who come across as calm, sensible world leaders, rational thinkers, authoritative thinkers, and Donald Trump, who seems like a whirling pistol that could shoot in any direction.
But this is because I think people like to look at the superficial things. You said that Biden and Obama seemed calm, but they were everything but calm.
They were statesmen, though, weren't they?
OK, but what's the point of
incendiary speeches, and they weren't tweeting every 5 minutes.
What's the point of not tweeting every 5 minutes? What's the point of being these calm, smiley individuals like Obama? Ooh, I'm the friendly family man. When you have dropped the most bombs on countries in modern history.
But if we look at Trump's foreign policy, he instigated taking troops out of Afghanistan, and we've seen what happened in that situation. It was under Biden that the troops left, but Trump did instigate that. Was that a good foreign policy?
Absolutely. Why are we, the West, in Afghanistan for over 20 years, meddling in their affairs, where we're seeing many of our own troops die with not much success? Can we say the amount of years we were in Afghanistan was a success? And I think that's why you're having an overwhelming support from the Americans, because they're tired of, their troops being placed in parts of the world in conflicts that essentially has nothing to do with us. And that's what Biden seems to do.
I think it's because the everyday American is angry at the division between the very wealthy and the very poor, and Donald Trump gives them a certain sense that they're getting some sort of revenge on the wealthy and the powerful, when in fact the wealthy and the powerful are Donald Trump, and they're being laughed at.
Under Donald Trump, there was the lowest unemployment,
Turkey's voting for Christmas.
Especially in ethnic communities. Oftentimes people say Trump is not good for black people, he's racist. OK, let's look at the stats. Let's look at the unemployment in the Hispanic communities, in the black communities at an all-time low. Blue-collar jobs brought back from external countries.
It was Biden who's increased, I've got here, unemployment is at a record low, 14 million new jobs under Biden, right? So why change it? That's obviously working. If we're talking about people getting back into work,
do you think Biden's a good leader right now?
I think he's a better leader than Trump. I do think there's an element of like a choice between a choice between a pair of Muppets is what I would say. Muppet puppets. Both of them are very elderly men. Neither of them, I think, have got all of their screws quite as tight as they should be. Yeah. So I don't think that Biden's a perfect candidate. But I do think he's a calm leader, and I do think America's better now than it would have been if we'd had another 5 years of Trump.
No. I think if we stop looking at headlines and look at the stats of what Trump has done, he has been better.
Let's go to the callers. Frankie from Somerset, you're up first. Would you be happy to see Trump back?
Morning, everyone. I definitely would. I definitely would like to see him back. I think he would make this world a safer place, definitely.
In what way? Tell us why you think that, Frankie.
Well, because, I mean, obviously, when he was in power the first time, he held summits with the North Korean leader, and obviously with Putin, where there was escalation of things going to happen. And then all of a sudden, when he left, it seems like the whole world went mad. You had Putin invasion in Russia, and then you got the Iranians threatening with nuclear power, obviously, and then all that's going on in the Middle East at the moment. What is Biden doing? Is he sat in his care home watching TV because he's done nothing?
That's a new name for the White House. Frankie, it's an interesting point that you make, and actually it's an argument lots of people have to have Trump back in the White House. But why do you think we didn't see Putin invade Ukraine while Trump was president? Isn't because Trump was too unreliable? You didn't know how Trump was going to react, and so people were too scared to make the moves, or other countries were too scared to make the moves that they wanted to under his presidency?
I think personally, Storm, he actually gave them the ultimatum. You face the consequences. You invade Ukraine, or North Korea invade whoever they were, or with their power.
But
he
Frankie,
made ultimatums.
But Frankie, with that comes the concern that actually, if Putin was mad enough to take Trump on that ultimatum, if indeed that's what happened, and said, if you invade Ukraine, I will press that red button. He invades Ukraine, Trump presses the red button. What happens then?
No, I didn't mean that. I didn't mean that in particular, the red button. All I meant was it would have obviously scaled where troops would have been involved, like the young lady said, involving our troops when it's nothing to do with us. So that's all it was. So he waited till Trump went. He decided that's time for us now. Let's go and invade Ukraine.
So what do you think then, Frankie? It's an interesting theory that you pose here. But what's going to happen now? If Trump gets in and he's president, Russia is already in Ukraine. What's the outcome there? What happens?
Well, what about peace talks? Nobody's had any peace talks. The man should be held for crimes. Putin should be held for war crimes. Nobody. What about we were talking the other day about human rights? He don't care about human rights, Putin.
But what I'm saying is, what I'm asking you is, what do you think Trump will do? Will he put boots on the ground? I mean,
no. Said he'll put troops. Maybe talking around the table, United Nations.
And he has said
you think he's going to be diplomatic?
Well, Trump has said that. He was asked, and this is the thing that I think people do like about Trump. When journalists and broadcasters try to pigeonhole him and push him into a corner. Who do you support? Do you support Russia or Ukraine? He says, look, it's not about supporting. It's about stopping this war. People on both sides are dying. And I also think people are sick to the back teeth of our Western governments getting involved in countries, their conflicts that have nothing to do with us, whereas Trump wants to put the American people first. And I think that's what Americans want. They want American people to come first.
That's what he'll do. He'll give Ukraine, or certainly, parts of Ukraine to Russia to appease a demagogic ruler. That's what he will do. Well, but not necessarily. It doesn't have to be the entirety. We learn, do we not, from history that if you give a leader like Putin an inch, then a mile will be taken. And actually, I think Trump showed real weakness in those statements, saying, I just want to save lives. I will find a peace treaty. The only way that's going to happen is by giving Putin big chunks of Ukraine.
Well, let us know what you think. Will you be happy to see Trump back in the White House? 0207 862 2222 is the number for your thoughts on this. Maybe you'll be delighted. Maybe you're fearful. Lots of people are commenting online. David on Facebook says, I don't want Trump or Biden as president. Looks like you might have a hard choice then. If those are the best two candidates that America can offer, then the USA really is. I'm not sure that's appropriate. If I were American, I wouldn't be voting for either. God help us. Paul on Facebook says, yes, they keep trying to take him down, but they've got nothing on him. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a huge fan, but he did do a much better job in so many issues than the current incumbent. It's quite a difficult one because Biden hasn't really covered himself in chocolate in a lot of areas, has he, Andy? I mean, I think a lot of people
because he stumbled his words and fallen down some stairs off an aeroplane. I mean, I don't understand actually really the serious concerns about Biden, because what we've had is a stable, successful government for 5 years. Drop in unemployment, the economy is stronger than it was. It's not entered any major new conflicts. There are no boots on the ground. Of course, it's supporting conflicts in other parts of the world. But it's not as though Trump has left and the world has fallen apart because of Biden.
Well, he's flip-flopping on the Middle Eastern issues at the moment, and we're confused. He's eating an ice cream, saying there's going to be a ceasefire from the weekend. I haven't seen that, have you?
Well, it would be better then, I suppose, if Biden was tweeting every 5 minutes about his Big Macs and, God knows what else pops into his head.
Angela from Merseyside, are you looking forward to Trump's tweets again in capital letters?
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, it's unbelievable. When he's tweeting all the time, people don't have their life. He just keeps them on edge all the time.
Well, you say he keeps them on edge, but actually, while he was president, we didn't see as much extreme foreign issues. We didn't see wars popping up all over the place, Angela, and that might be because of Trump.
Not necessarily, because he has a different group of people around him as his advisors. He won't have that next time he's in.
Well, he might have a better group.
He won't have anybody taking him.
Angela, he might even have a better group of people around him advising him.
No. When you've got somebody like Steve Bannon, when you've got Steve Bannon behind him and other people like that, you've got to really understand. Now it will be a very different world when he gets in.
Well, certainly it's a very different world when it comes to foreign policy for him. He's really going to have to think long and hard about how he deals with that. But what is it you particularly don't like about Trump then, Angela?
Well, to start with, his whole life he's been a liar. He's manipulated in business all his life. You've only got to ask the people in New York. If he didn't do things wrong, he wouldn't have all these trials all up against him now.
He does have a few trials, you're absolutely right. It's interesting running for...
Angela, why does it seem that the press seem to be emboldened about his trials, but when it comes to, the trial when it comes to like the Hunter Biden son, the laptop, coercion with China, Russia, no one seems
to... Can I just hold you right there? Just a minute. The person who put this story out with the CIA, has now been found out that he lied and there was Russian influence behind it. So that was there to dirty Biden up.
OK, so you would like to see the current state that Biden's in, you would like to see him for another term?
Well, let's put it this way. The man is up against it. He came in and it was a mess. because Trump didn't make the money that you say he made. He had to sort out that side of it for a start. On top of that, with Israel, you've got a prime minister there that basically has gone rogue. You know, this war now that we've got, okay, you know, you've got the terrorists, they did wrong, but when you're working out,
Angela, we're drifting slightly to the Gaza conflict. Now, I don't really want to get into the Gaza conflict, although I agree it's something that if Trump or Biden, whoever gets into the White House, they're going to have to think about it. But the reality is looking like on Super Tuesday, it's going to be another Trump-Biden race. So time will only tell who will end up in the top job. Again, both of them. Angela, thank you very much for your call. Thanks for all your calls on this. After the break is...